Good evening. It is Monday, July 8th. This is the Guilford Board of Education. Thank you for joining us for our regular meeting. I invite you to join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. I'm going to go to action on the minutes. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes to approve tonight. The first are from Monday, June 10th, our regular meeting. Is there a motion to approve these meeting minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections?
I have just on page 4,
Okay.
under 9.4, it's Regina Sullivan. I think we're just missing an I in her name.
Oh, the third, yes. Okay, good catch, I didn't. I had 2, working backwards, on page 3, middle of the page, the 2 students who received awards received them as student representative to the Board of Education. So we need to correct the finance there. And then on page 1, under 3.2, this was approval of minutes, motion made by Mr. Del Ventura and seconded by Mrs. Peck, but Mrs. Peck's vote isn't noted. And I don't know, so
You're still on
3.2, May 13th.
Page 1.
You're still on the June?
Sorry, I'm on the June 10th minutes.
Okay, got it.
It's on the first page,
I see now.
3.2. I don't know if you voted in favor of the motion or abstained.
Well, I would assume that
Oh,
if
of
I
course,
seconded
if you second the motion, you were here.
I was here, yeah.
Okay, so
So, yeah.
sometimes it takes.
You know, it's all right.
The list of Board of Ed members who voted in favor should include Mrs. Peck. And then Mrs. Rader had abstained because she was not available. Any other notes on these minutes? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of approving the minutes as amended?
Aye.
Aye.
And 1 abstention.
And Mr. Scudder abstains. All right, June 24th, 2024, meeting minutes for the special meeting. This was an executive session. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you. And then June 24th, 2024 workshop meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Any comments, corrections? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. We are up to public comments for topics on the agenda. However, there is no public present tonight, so we will move on to review and approval of expenditures for the month of June 2024. I was the reviewer of the month. This was something we went into detail during the Operations Committee meeting just prior to this meeting. So I will summarize. Expenditures for the month of June 2024 were $9,450,006.13. Expenditures and encumbrances through the end of June were 99.79% of the budget as compared to 99.94% in 2022-23. Revenue for June 2024 was $27,808.73, which includes $7,340.93 for Medicaid, $317.80 for non-resident tuition, and $20,150 for the Magnet Transportation Grant. across the budget categories we have, I note that salaries are in line with the prior year. Employee benefits, tuition, and capital expenditures were lower than the prior year. And purchase services, supplies and materials, and transportation were higher than the prior year. Finally, the current projection is that we will end the year under budget. We have usually at least another month while our wonderful business department is doing their work to make sure everything is completed in terms of all expenditures for the 23-24 year. And we may find ourselves doing budget transfers in August to finalize that process. So lastly, the warrant, which has been submitted, has a total payments of $2,490,418.42. Again, we went over these reports and the warrants in detail in the Operations Committee. Is there anyone who has any additional comments? All right, hearing none. Is there a motion to approve the June 2024 financial reports?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous, thank you. Any communications from any of my colleagues from the last month?
I have received a few communications regarding our vacancy. So I've had 4 people apply so far.
Okay.
One of whom is qualified based on our required criteria. So we can still invite others to join us and submit applications to me, a resume and a letter of intent, if you are a registered independent and have been so for 90 days. And those are due to me by the 10th, so a couple of days left to submit applications for the vacancy.
Wonderful, thank you. Any others? All right. No student reports this month because they are enjoying their summer vacation. So we're up to superintendent's report. Dr. Freeman was not able to, is not able to be here tonight, so Mr. Bowden is going to be filling his shoes in terms of the report.
In your packet, you have a letter from Dr. Freeman dated June 13th, in which he approved a exchange student coming to us for the first semester of the 24-25 school year. This student is from Italy. His grade will be determined based on his transcript, so our counseling department at the high school will be going through and determining what and where the placement will be in terms of his grade. Again, it will only be for the first semester. And the student is currently 17 years old, so we are eagerly looking forward to our second exchange student for next year. If you remember last month, Dr. Freeman had approved another exchange student, I believe, from France, wasn't it?
Yeah.
From France, so that's all I
Wonderful.
have to.
That's great.
Very exciting.
Great report.
Excellent.
It's nice that I would say that we're back to accepting
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
able to accept exchange
absolutely.
students after several years of COVID and not having that opportunity. I know in my years here, working with all of you, that the students we've had in the past have really helped accentuate our population here and brought, great experiences with them and participated not only in athletics, but I know the arts and so forth, and it's been wonderful to see. So we're glad to be back to that.
That's great.
How do we get exchange students? Like, what's the process?
The process is usually that we are contacted via Ms. Chaff at the high school or the high school principal through a state-approved organization that looks to place exchange students, throughout the state. And then there's, an application process that they go through Dr. Freeman's office to see if it would be a good fit. They have to have a sponsor, obviously, a family in town, which of course our two candidates do have. And it's, really that's the process.
So it starts with Mateo saying, hey, I'd like to go to America, or does he specify Connecticut? Like, what's the origin? Like, and then you contact the Department of Education at the state, and the state then distributes the kids from there?
No, it's usually a international organization
Okay.
that works in conjunction, with the State Department to be approved. A student generally picks a geographic area of the country they'd like to be in, and then it's a matter of finding a host family and placement
Cool, thank
for
you.
that. Yeah, it's a neat experience, both for the student and for the host family.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And we used to, back in the old Guilford High School, there was actually a mural. Do you recall this? There was a mural that had a world map, and it showed where all the foreign exchange students had come from.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, to your point, it's just so great to have the program back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
terrific. Is it unusual to have someone for just a semester, or is it always kind of a combination?
It
of 4
depends. It's
years?
not unusual.
Okay.
It's been my experience, most of them have been a year, but sometimes it just, a student may be in different places at
That's
different
right.
semesters, so.
Okay. Excellent. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Board agenda. 9.1 is to act on personnel items. Mr. Bowden and his staff have been very busy, apparently. So we are being asked to ratify the appointment of the following teachers. Olivia Strelovitz for Adams Language Arts. Margaret Montag, Adams School Counselor. Christine Mulqueen, School Counselor for Baldwin. Carla Stoddard, Orchestra Teacher for Baldwin. Marcy McDermott, a Special Education Teacher for Guilford Lakes. Allison Wilkerson Mathis, a Grade 1 Teacher for Cox. Madison Petoskey, I hope I haven't done too badly there, Grade 3 Lakes. Stephen Huhas, Adams Orchestra Teacher. Kimberly Ragnow, Special Education, Guilford High School. And Kristen Balsamo, Mathematics Instruction Coach, Guilford Lakes. So good 10 people we're bringing on here tonight. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of these following 10 teachers?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Wonderful. And then we are being asked to ratify the resignation of one teacher, Alicia Foster, Special Education from Guilford Lakes, 11 years experience. Is there a motion to ratify this resignation?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, that's everyone. Thank you. 9.2, we're being asked to act on an educator evaluation plan. The board discussed this at our last board meeting, and Mr. Hamel, Ms. Sullivan, and
Ms.
I'm sorry?
Ms. Mulqueen.
Mulqueen, spent time talking to us about it at our last meeting, which was terrific. We have the educator growth plan in our packet, as we did last month, and have had the last month to review it. Dr. Goss, is there anything you wanted to add tonight before we vote on this or consider it?
I just would like to thank you for even considering it, because it is, while it's very similar to what we've done in the past, it also has some pretty significant departures in terms of being really focused on teacher growth. And, as opposed to a gotcha plan, it's really a support plan, looking to grow everybody. And that's exciting to me, and I think it's very exciting to teachers. I've heard from a few teachers that they are looking forward to this opportunity to really be in charge of their own learning.
It was, I certainly found it really helpful to have Regina and Kara and Doug describe some of the process, describe kind of what they were aiming for, what the committee was aiming for. You, of course, were part of this as well. Any thoughts before we consider it tonight?
To me, one of the most interesting takeaways was that all ideas are good ideas. Like, it sounded like the teachers could wind up saying, I mean, that's, except for what was it, the crock pot? That was not a good idea.
Not good.
But it seemed like we are now going to really ask teachers to come up with creative ideas for how they're going to improve their own growth as educators, which I think is exciting.
That's terrific. Did anybody have questions or thoughts about this before we consider this tonight? All right, so we're being asked to act on this educator, it's identified in our agenda as educator evaluation plan. It is, per Dr. Goss's comment, identified here as an educator growth plan. And we are being asked to consider approval. So is there a motion to approve the educator growth plan for implementation with faculty at Guilford Public Schools?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed or abstain? And I'll just note that following our approval tonight, this then goes to the Connecticut State Department of Education.
Yes. Thank you
Excellent.
very much.
Sure.
Very excited.
No, it's great. It's really terrific. And I think I mentioned last month, having seen when Guilford was first, well, every district in the state of Connecticut was first kind of required to create this plan. It was a very different plan, that first one, right? It was very, there were matrices and numbers and ratings, and this is exciting. This is an exciting change. All right, 9.3, receive for possible action, awarding of the bid for the special education transportation. So tonight, the Board of Education is being asked to approve the following bid for special transportation.
Special education.
Yes, special education transportation. There are 7 bus runs included in the bid. 2 vendors submitted bids for the runs. I will note that our business team did reach out to 2 additional vendors to try to receive as many bids as possible, but neither was interested or able to meet the request. So there are 7 runs here. Again, 2 vendors. The bids have been given to our own specialty transportation to review because it is part of their contract, and specialty transportation provides us with our overall bus services. Part of their contract is that they have the opportunity, if they so choose, to match the lowest bid for any of these 7 runs. But what we have as a Board of Ed tonight in front of us is the 7 runs and the identified organization that has provided the lowest bid. So we have STS Transportation, LLC, which has provided the lowest bid for 6 of the 7 runs, and Coordinated Transportation Solutions, which has provided the lowest bid for the 7th run. So we are being asked tonight to award these 7 runs to these bidders, depending on Specialty Transportation's option to match the lowest bidder. Is there a motion to award these 7 runs to these bidders, again, noting the opportunity for Specialty Transportation to match any of the 7 runs at the lowest bid?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's everybody. All right, excellent. 9.4 is receiving for possible action the awarding of the bid for custodial supplies. So the Board of Education's approval is requested on the following bid. The bid contains 60 different items that Guilford Public Schools purchases that are used by the maintenance staff during the year. 9 vendors submitted bids for some or all of the items among the 60 items that are listed. These vendors include Calico Packaging, Central Poly, Hilliard, Imperial Bag and Paper, Interborough Packaging, K&S Distributors, Pyramid School Supply, Unipack, and WD Mason. The Board of Ed is being requested to approve the awarding of each of the 60 items on the custodial supply bid list to the lowest bidder among these 9 as determined by the Facilities Department. Is there a motion to approve the custodial supply bid to the lowest bidder for each of these 60 items among the 9 bidders as determined by the Facilities Department?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you, that's everybody. 9.5, the board is being asked to act on a resolution on the capital equipment lease. Every year, we are asked to authorize a lease purchase agreement for the capital lease. The great majority of this lease is spent on technology equipment. This is where we are replacing Chromebooks as necessary. We're meeting technological equipment needs across the district. We have in the past also used it for the purchase of a facilities maintenance vehicle. But again, its primary use and purpose has been the upgrading and maintenance, as well as purchase of necessary technology to support student learning in the district. The Board of Selectmen, so the Board of Ed on their own cannot go into this lease. The Board of Selectmen did at their July meeting earlier this month approve this lease purchase agreement. They are requiring and need our approval as well. So we are being asked to pass or approve the resolution to authorize the lease purchase agreement for the technology lease. Is there a motion to do so?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excellent. And then 9.6 is to waive the bid requirement for the capital lease and award the bid for the capital equipment lease. For several years, and I'm going to turn to Mrs. Trudeau when I'm finished here in case there's anything she wants to add, but for several years, our business department has been challenged to get 3 or more bidders for the capital lease. This is a somewhat unique approach that this lease takes. It is also a smaller lease amount that many banks want to go into any kind of lease agreement around. So this year, we have a bid from Cogent Leasing and Financing Incorporated. They actually have been the organization that we have done the lease with for the past 2 years. The other banks that we were in contact with, JP Morgan, this process, the lease was too small for them to consider, and Key Bank did not give us a response. So we are being asked then to waive the bidding process and allow for the awarding of the bid to Cogent Leasing and Financing. The payments, the proposal will be payments in advance for 5 annual payments of $137,931.89 at an interest rate of 4.74%. I will note that our business manager, Mrs. Trudeau, and her staff were more conservative in their approach in the budgeting, so this 4.74% is coming in under what Mrs. Trudeau budgeted for, which of course is very helpful to us. So, Mrs. Trudeau, is there anything I failed to mention here that's going to be important as we consider this vote?
No, I think you covered everything.
And is it your request that this be one vote, or does it need to be two? And I'm happy to do two if it's
Probably would be two.
better to, I think that's probably the best approach.
Yes.
We can't fail that way.
Right.
Excellent. All right, so I am going to ask for a motion to waive the bidding process for the capital lease for the reasons that we have reviewed, I've reviewed tonight.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's unanimous. And then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the awarding of the capital lease to Cogent Leasing and Financing Incorporated, 5 annual payments of $137,931.89 at an interest rate of 4.74%. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Wonderful. All right. 9.7, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. Okay, 9.7 is policy 5114. We have discussed this a lot. So this is the age of attendance of students. We are being required by the state to move back the start date for kids from the end of the year, so from December 31st back to September 1st. So changes to this policy read, children who have attained the age of 5 years on or before September 1st of the school year may be admitted to kindergarten. We are allowing parents to petition the school in writing to request that their child who turns 5 between September 2nd and December 31st of the school year may in fact be able to attend kindergarten if they are appropriately ready, developmentally ready for that, for kindergarten. So the change reads, the parent of a child who turns 5 between September 2nd and December 31st of the school year may make a request in writing to the respective building principal requesting the district conduct an assessment of the child to ensure that admitting such a child is developmentally appropriate. Upon notification from the superintendent, the Board of Education may vote to admit any child born between September 2nd and December 31st of the school year and who has met the assessment requirements to kindergarten. Any questions? We've discussed this, I feel like, quite a
For a
bit.
while now.
Yeah.
But this is coming to us as still coming to us as a receive item
This is
tonight.
a receive tonight.
Both items are received.
That
Okay.
hopefully we will vote on next meeting without.
Wonderful.
Without any further conversation. Okay,
Any questions, anyone? It sounds like we're all set on this. Excellent.
great, thank you. Then the next policy for everyone to take a peek at over the next month is policy 6334, which is the selection of educational materials. Again, this is a topic that we've been discussing for about a year. So I'll read through the changes that we are recommending. And this is really about review policies for books and materials. So I'm going to just read through, you guys can read along with me, but this will be for the public to hear as well. The changes read, it is therefore the policy of the Guilford Board of Education that books and other materials shall be chosen for the values of interest and enlightenment of all students in the community. A book shall not be excluded because of race, nationality, gender identity, sexual orientation, disability, political or religious views. Every effort will be made to provide materials that present all points of view. Any person who wishes to request reconsideration of the use of any materials in the school must make such request in writing using the Request for Reconsideration of Educational Materials form. If books or other materials, including library materials, are challenged, the following procedure will be implemented. The final decision on controversial materials shall rest with the Board of Education after careful examination and discussion of said materials with professional staff. the board recognizes the right of an individual, parent, or guardian to request that his or her child not be required to use given materials, provided a request of reconsideration of educational materials form is completed, submitted, and approved by the building principal. If a parent or guardian would like to request a reconsideration of multiple educational materials, a completed form must be submitted to the building principal for each book or material. The challenged material will remain in use and shall not be removed until the formal due process procedure has been completed. If a book or other material is challenged, goes through the reconsideration process, and is allowed to remain in the curriculum or where it is currently housed, the book or material cannot be challenged for reconsideration again within 3 years from the date of the final decision. So those are the changes that the policy committee worked through at our meeting a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, if members of the board in general have additional comments or changes, please bring that to me or to Jason, and then hopefully we can vote on adopting that policy at our next formal meeting.
Terrific. Any questions about those at the moment? All right. Moving right along, reports of committees. We are in the summer months, which means many of these committees may not meet for the next 2 months until September, but policy committee, is there anything else to report?
Yeah, so we just met 2 weeks ago. We obviously discussed the 2 topics that we've just covered, and then additional items that we discussed are going to be new Title IX policies that are coming from the state, so we will have an update for the board, but we're waiting to hear from the state, so we don't do that multiple times. And also the Connecticut School Climate Survey and a suicide and intervention plan, which again, we're waiting for a little bit of guidance before we wind up doing
Okay.
work twice.
Great, thank you. Operations committee, anything else to report out?
Nothing else to report.
All right. Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Committee, anything to report out?
Nothing new.
Nothing new, all right. Liaisons to town committees, anything to report out this month? Summer is quiet.
Summer's quiet.
Summer is quiet. Once we have a new board member joining us in a month or so, we will look at all committees, including the Learn Board of Directors. All right, that brings us up to public comment, the second public comment. I am noting that there is no one from the public here. So we will move on past that, and also then no need for closing comments from board members or administrators. The only remaining thing on the agenda this evening is an executive session to continue discussion of the superintendent's contract. When the board comes out of that executive session, we will not be taking any votes or having any further discussion. The only activity will be then to adjourn the meeting. So I am going to ask for a motion to go into executive session, please.
So moved.
Second? Sorry, someone made
That's
a
Arnold.
second. Arnold, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
And I'm letting you have them.